Hi, I'm Sanena at Self-Care 101. Thank you for joining me. Today, I'm going to talk about breath. And as I expand this, you can expand your breath by inhaling and expanding your diaphragm and exhaling and contracting your diaphragm. So when I do this and your breath follows, your body should expand and then contract, but not up here, because these are not deep, proper breaths. When we breathe from here, it's a very shallow throat breath. You want to breathe from the diaphragm down here below your rib cage. And so when I hold this out, I'm going to show you what your belly does. Your belly expands and then contracts. And that's how to take a proper breath. So in yoga or pranayama, when we take breaths, we're talking about belly breaths. We're talking about diaphragmatic breathing. We're talking about inhaling and exhaling. And as you inhale, a balloon breath is where you imagine your diaphragm and your belly expanding like a balloon. And then you imagine that it shrinks back down as you exhale. And that's a balloon breath. Expanding at the diaphragm, not at the chest. And contracting as you exhale. Now, one of the things you can do with breath is you can increase and inhale, count, and then hold it. And then exhale. And so if you want to do this with me, I'll count while you breathe. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3. Now, just keep breathing along with me as I'm explaining this to you. Because you might say, well, how come you didn't exhale for as long as you inhaled or held for? And that's because we don't typically exhale for as long as we're inhaling for. So we can play around with the numbers. And you can inhale and hold for as long as you want, and exhale for as long as you want. Find something that's comfortable for you. You might try inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3. Inhale. And so you kind of get the idea. You want to inhale for something that's comfortable. You want to hold for something that's comfortable. And you want to exhale too, but you also want to breathe back in when it's comfortable for you and not really starve the body. So you can play around with these numbers of how long you inhale, how long you hold, and how long you exhale. The other thing that you can do is this wonderful breath that I love to do, where you inhale so slightly, ever so slightly, and ever so slowly. And you get to this point where you're filled with air, but you don't want to make a sharp exhale, right? You don't want to do an inhale, exhale. What you want to do is you want to inhale to the point where that inhale is then going to slowly turn into an exhale without any deliberate, abrupt change in direction. And then when you exhale, you're going to get it to the point where you're almost out of breath and very slightly, ever so slightly, change that direction and start it back into an inhale. And so what you're doing is you're trying to make the inhale into exhale as smooth as the exhale into inhale. And so you're rounding off those edges. So instead of going in, out, you're kind of going in and very artfully making the exhale, the switch to exhale, almost imperceptible. And then the same thing on the other end. When you exhale, you're kind of making that switch to an inhale, almost imperceptible. And you can play around with that for several minutes. That's a wonderful breath to do. And then there's sharp exhales where you go. So there's many different ways to inhale and exhale. And as you go along with me, just very slowly, take those breaths, keep breathing. Breath is the life force within our body. Breath is so incredibly amazing. It can really impact our health. It can really impact our emotional well-being and our sanity. I speak from experience. And breath is just absolutely a wonderful tool to use when you have nothing else. Because working with breath is free. It doesn't cost anything. You don't need any kind of doctor to prescribe it. You don't need any insurance coverage to be able to do it. And once you start playing around with pranayama and breath work, you start finding that there are so many different things that you can do with it. I spent a few years bedridden at one point in time, and going through this pandemic reminds me of that. And one of the things that I utilized to get me through that time, physiologically, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, cognitively, is utilizing breath. It can make the difference between your mood. It can make the difference between your results from your blood lab. It can make a difference in your blood pressure. It can make a difference in your heart rate. And I hope that this has been relaxing for you to just follow your breath along with me. If you're out and about, my favorite thing to do is to sit on the beach and inhale when the tide comes in and exhale when it goes back out. And I like to sync my breath with the waves. And that grounds me with the earth and Mother Nature. But I'm in a radical quarantine right now because of my immune system and my son's immune system and my medical history. And so I'm not able to go to the beach and sync my breath with the waves. But I can breathe in my home anytime for free. And so can you. And I hope that when you practice this for a little bit, you're able to increase that breath. And slow that heart rate. And lower that BP. And calm the mind monkeys. And take control of your health. And take control of your narrative. And if you've got children at home, this is a very cheap, basic, simple toy that you can use to teach your children how to breathe too. Thank you for joining me. This is Sunena, and this is Self-Care 101. Join me again another time. Namaste.